All right, welcome everyone with Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Summertime Rendering, Episode 7.
All
You now
right.
have some allies that know specifically about your time traveling.
They are probably the best people to not just have this communicated with thus far, but they are probably going to be the best allies he ever gets.
Oh, yeah. Power
Probably.
friendship is great and all, but...
But yeah, in terms of actual acumen to be able to handle this thing,
Other
they're coming in with more info than you ever could have, really.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if anything...
Ushio could maybe balance things out because she's a shadow. But,
Right, I would say, yeah, that's a good comparison, because that was what I was going to say. I was like, wait, Ushio set him up with this power to begin with. But,
that too.
But there's that.
I can't wait for them to be like, wait, this is how you've been using time travel? Okay, all right, so let's make a plan here.
Let's actually make a plan here, yeah. I'm excited to see the pressure, though, of the I feel, that we don't have much time because there's only so many iterations I'll get before the start point keeps advancing.
Right.
And thus that element will be something that that Hizuru or Nagumo will have as a conflict point with Shinpei. Because from one perspective, she might be like, I don't care. Like, we're going to get this done. That's the way it's going to be. And then Shinpei would be like, yeah, but I don't want to lose any of my friends or anything.
Oh, right. Yes, that whole thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm not letting any, bad things happen or anything like that.
That's tomorrow's struggle.
Tomorrow's struggle. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, imagine what happens when Shinpei starts actually applying his bird's eye view thing with someone who's, coming in with the mission to the, okay, let's think fourth dimensionally.
Yeah.
He can start getting real efficient with the kinds of things of communicating to set everybody up to be able to help him as fast as possible as well.
Yes.
But yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Yep. Not that many times, to be honest, actually. Whoa. Oh, we were right. Yeah.
Wait.
So that's her brother, Ryunosuke.
Right.
Okay. But we don't know who that is.
But that looked like she was going to their house.
Yeah, I think she's going to go kill him.
Oh, sure.
If you, know where the shadows are ahead of time.
Right.
And you know how to kill them.
But multiple of them in their territory. I mean, if she's the one instigating.
If she's instigating,
we can assume that she's competent enough to be able to pull it off. She knows what she's dealing with. 3 shadows. Yeah.
Right, because, dead shadows can't make more shadows.
That's true.
And the other thing that's rather crazy
is
that...
What if they make her a shadow?
Well, no, but even in the bad end, there were only like
13.
a dozen shadows.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So the idea that, if they get rid of 3...
That's 25%.
That's 25%
fewer.
of the number that showed up at the festival.
And 25% decrease on the speed at which they could create more shadows. So even the number that they have at the festival, that might have been that they already made more.
Right.
Yeah.
I also really like the idea that the shadows realize that the festival is like a thing where they have to do it because they're starting to get, murked.
Right.
Like there's a point where their number starts dramatically decreasing and they're like, whoa.
Yeah, this is kind of a fundamentally different approach than you would expect, because you normally expect it to be cat and mouse from the other direction, but it's, we have information, cool, we're going to attack them with that information.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Which is scary to think about, because that means there was some kind of effect. Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Let's get into this.
Cool.
Whoa.
Cool.
I like that.
じゃあアランは
心配ない。アランの影はすでに葬った。
Mm-hmm.
アランの影はもう生まれない。
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
So basically, there is some aspect that they're kind of extracting from the person.
コピーされない。
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah. I love it.
先生は
Old man Nezu.
Yep.
ミオの影を倒すのに力を貸していただけませんか。
さっきの君のメモによれば、今晩9時頃、洋食
Cool.
船の前にミオの
Ambush.
現れる。
Take it out then. Yeah.
いいだろう。だがその前に片付ける。
Ah, yeah, yeah. So this is the Kyokugawas.
失敗しますよ。このままやったら。
Why?
俺は見てきました。24日、あの境内にしおりの影がいたんです。
つまり
Well-
私は今日、しおりを葬り損なう。
Well, hang on. That's assuming that time travel works a particular way.
もしかしてですけど、
Yeah.
南雲先生は二重人格なんです。
Nope.
いえ、すぐにおいとまいたします。
But she didn't hit the shadow. Okay.
Well, she needs to disable at least a couple of them quickly. She can double tap.
釣れたのは一匹だけか。
That's bad, yeah, because then the other one's not gonna be in
描
melee.
いた言葉です。君は弟に会ったのか。あ
Yeah.
れってつまり。
当たらずとも遠からずちゅうとかやな。龍之介には影と戦うだけの力がある。
龍之介。
Yeah.
あいつは強い。
Jesus.
はっきり言うとくがよ。わしは
Yeah.
どこがどうとか意味がわからんが。
Because remember her whole thing with the gun at the festival. She kind of saw the future a little bit there.
ひずるには双子の弟がおった。それが龍之介や。
Okay.
年前、鷹の巣山であいつの死体が見つかった。
Right, right.
ひずるの悲鳴を聞いて、わしが駆けつけた。
Cool.
ひどいありさまやった。食われとったんや。体中に肉を噛みちぎられた跡があった。野犬の仕業やいう
Yeah.
騒ぎや。ひずるは言うた。これは殺人なんてな。
Oh,
Not enough
fuck.
to kill it.
Yeah.
の首のところに締められた跡があったんや。
外した。いや、手応えはあった。
せやけどひずるの言うことら誰も信じやんかった。遺体はその日に焼かれてしもた。
ネズさん。それって
Exactly like what happened to Ushio. Yeah.
あなた危険。私らの殺し方知ってる。
Yeah.
あの裏切り者の仲間。それにパパとママの動き目でおったな。影より早く動けるとか。あなたほんまに人間？
Yeah, get fucked. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, to get to the shadow?
Yep, yep. Yep. Damn. Oh, yep, she's running.
Okay.
She's running.
しかし妙だ。
So she's tougher than the other two,
決め
maybe?
の一撃のはずやのに。なんかおかしい。あの
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is an older shadow.
ごめんお姉ちゃん。
She's been around for decades.
Oh, yeah, I hurt your body. Yeah, so she's being possessed by her twin brother?
わしらの出番。
Yeah. All right.
見せてもらおうやないか。お前の
Oh, shit. I love it. A nail gun, yes.
無駄ですよ。コピーする光を放った後、あなたは数秒間身動きが取れなくなる。
Oh.
人間一人の情報をスキャンするのには結構労力がかかるってこと。
And in that moment, you're
どうかそ
dead.
の一瞬を見逃すと思いますか？
So now she's just gonna escape? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And perfect, that was part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
They're waiting with nail guns.
Oh my god.
Is she gonna throw it?
All right, where's Shinpei? Here he is. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's stronger than you, so it won't last. Oh shit!
I can't.
Yeah, it's holding on to me. Oh god. Oh, they aren't wanting to kill it. They're gonna interrogate it?
Uh-huh. No, I don't like that, no.
何がおかしい？お前が小舟牛を殺し、その影を生み出したのか。
What way do you have to actually force them to talk, though?
牛お姉ちゃんな。殺したよ。私が首絞めて殺した。
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. But did you create
殺したって。
Mio.
なんでや。
Well, did you create her shadow though? That's the.
終わりやねん。
Oh.
この夏で。
Yeah.
もうおしまいやねん。せやから帰るんです。
Huh.
家族で帰るんです。
何やと。
新平さん、勘違いしてますよ。人間の私は確かに影に殺されたけど、影は私を完璧にコピーしたんですよ。体も心も記憶も。だから私は小早川しおり。
嘘をつくな。お前はしおりちゃんじゃない。しおりちゃんもその家族もお前が殺したんやろが。
Oh, the eye. Yeah.
新平さんも早影になったらええのに。一緒に行こうね。私のお兄ちゃんになってよ。
I mean, the creepy angle is great, but what about the other questions that we were gonna ask? Oh.
It's not gonna answer them. Yeah.
あまり影と長く話すと惑わされてしまいます。
Okay.
Yeah, don't want him getting rattled about what he's doing and why.
二重人格ってとこまでは言うちゃる。
Okay.
さんって姉の本を読んだことあるんですね。
いや、あれどころか。
こいつオタクや。
おや、そうなんですか。そんな話はレコーダーに入ってなかった。
Oh, okay.
きっと姉の照れ隠しです。
先生、何やってんですか。
I'm back. Yeah.
勘違いしないでおきたまえよ。私は別に照れていないし、故に隠してもいない。伝える必要のないことをこうカットしただけだ。
先生、話。網をほどくとひずるさんに戻るのか。
Oh, okay.
今後奴らが友人や家族、愛する者の姿で現れたとしてもためらってはならん。コピーとオリジナルの同一性について哲学するのは全てが終わったからでよい。
Yeah.
小早川家は手遅れだった。だが、君はまだ間に合うのだぞ。
ごめんみよ、遅なった。
Well.
おかえりしんちゃん。
Shit. Shit. Oh, wow, wow.
Oh my god.
Wait, but that's the scary thing is...
I don't think shadows can change clothes, though.
Yeah, what it...
今までミオが料理するなんて展開は一度もなかったのに。
It's because of what happened with Alan.
Right. Yeah, the fact that she's got the band-aids on means she's definitely not a shadow.
Right. 100% not. Yep. Nice.
よかった。ミオは影じゃない。それにこれはまだ華麗に方向転換できる。可愛いとこある。
I can still use this onion.
Yeah.
She hasn't entirely butchered it.
そうだった。俺のせいでミオの行動がすでに変化して
Right.
しまった。
Butterfly effect is a thing.
俺はカレーを作る。それが今までと同じ行動だからな。影を殺す。
Hell yeah.
行動はなるべく変えないようにする。内容を変えたら人の行動に変化が生まれ、それが連鎖し、俺が見てきた未来が役に立たなくなる。おいおいミオ、 腹の虫やな。そんなにお腹空いてんの？
Well, things are very different now. Okay.
Cool. So, Ushio was dealing with something in the previous iterations that kept her away from here.
Right.
Or
it almost seemed like it took she was just then waking up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We got some fun developments, some fun additional world building stuff for mechanics of how the shadows work and everything.
Yep. We got another bit of progression in terms of setting up the root of this day so that the Kyokugawa family is done as far as shadows go. So they are not going to be a threat moving forward. And we are having to deal with let's go get rid of Mio's shadow. That is a big, threat to my ability to, be able to do things well here. Because not just are they going to be coming after someone that's close to me physically in the
but also close emotionally,
close emotionally. So I won't be able to think straight and strategize with you if that's a problem.
And I want to, just in case this is something that anybody else was confused about too, I want to mention it because it confused me for a second, but then you were like, oh no, this is why it is. The reason why he was able to say, you won't succeed in killing the Shiori's shadow because she was at the thing is not because she was there in some other timeline, she therefore can't be killed or whatever, but that just means that when you tried to kill her in that previous timeline, it didn't succeed.
Yeah.
So, but then because he's here, they were able to actually pin her down and then take her out.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he had deduced that based on the time that he came over to Shiori's place in the morning, that was the night before that was this day, or the day before that was this day, which means that if she was to ever have gone after Shiori's family to get rid of them, it would have been during this day, and she at the very least got the parents, where you have to use they them for Rinosuke and Hizuru, because not only are they two, but
it's not a split personality, but it's something close, which means it's almost definitely some kind of soul possession, shadow, muckery, or something like that, where it's actually both of them in the one body.
Right. So Rinosuke in that regard, specifically has the experience of fighting them in a previous iteration, but while the parents weren't there, because when he came over to their place, it was just Shiori there who copied him.
Although, is it possible that it was just that the parents weren't there at the time, because was there a sign of sledgehammer impacts when he went there the previous time? Because although I think he might have mentioned that he saw some sign of struggle.
No, I don't think they had sledgehammer impacts, though.
Okay. Well, yeah, either way, there's, all this stuff's been happening. Cool. We're working on getting Mio taken care of now, because once you take care of a person's shadow, they can't be copied again. I really like that.
That is a very cool limitation, because there are going to be times where we as viewers will feel that they are not making much progress.
Right, and that is a way to make concrete progress, but it's also a fun way to potentially get at, in an indirect way, what the shadows are.
Yes,
because
true.
That serves a purpose from a storytelling angle, for sure, but as far as world mechanics, that very much seems like it's the kind of thing where they're not making a copy or whatever, they are taking some aspect of the person and removing it, controlling it, etc. Right? And the whole thing of what's the difference between shadows and people, I get the feeling
that's what it is.
That's probably what it is.
It's tied as to why they can only do it once, because if they could do it multiple times, this whole world would be fucked. Yeah. It's over. But if they actually only have one copy, meaning there's something that, like you're saying, is actually taken, absorbed, deleted, rendered, if you will, out of that process, that means that there's some degradation. The idea that you basically take an old file and you render it out another way through some specific method or what have you, you're changing the file type. You're putting it through this specific bit rate and all that. So,
and we also had the bit of how not all shadows are created equal, in that some can be stronger than others.
Some might even be in a hierarchy than
Yes.
others based on the way that they were copied.
I'm guessing that's what it is. Is that if like with the whole
Shiori's was a little bit of an older one.
Shiori's was a bit of an older one because we know that she was the one who made these two shadows, right?
Correct, yeah.
And if there's the one that was controlling all of them at the festival that was even bigger and badder and all that stuff, it, you know, like there seems to be a pretty clear like lineage and that also correlates to progression and strength.
Right. Right. There is something connected to them based on who copied who.
Which could also then have even more implications for what the shadows are and everything, if that's the reason. Like, you know,
Shiori's shadow called them family. Family's gonna go home.
Yeah.
So
well,
if-
yeah,
if
because
they-
mother, you know. So
Well, right. But just the idea then that if that family is not just an emotional thing where they actually feel like a family altogether.
right. But it's
they're
like, no, we
actually-
literally descended from.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's also a mechanical thing with that as well. And that might be why the traitor is such a big deal, is that it's you'd betray your family.
Sure.
Like, it's not just you would do that because that hurts us, but it's
Right.
you actually could do that. Like,
Yeah.
what it very much makes me think of, again, because I've mentioned the FMAB kind of connections with the big one there, is that's father, basically.
Right.
That shadow is
You've got a greedling running around that's like.
Right. And you've literally got a greedling running around who's causing all kinds of problems. Even in our side of things, because it's fuck, Ushio, what are you doing here?
Because the next big conversation is, okay, so Hizuru, Ryunosuke, don't kill this shadow. She's friendly, and she was helping us in the previous iteration where everything went tits up.
Now, do you think that because of the time that they've spent, Ryunosuke and Hizuru have spent kind of involved in this fight, that they would know about the traitor? Like, even if they don't know it's Ushio,
Well,
would they know?
They might
just
know about
came
a
back.
traitor in general, but I don't think so, because in the previous iteration where everything went bad, they freaked out when they realized that Ushio was a shadow.
Yes.
Like it was not the kind of thing of like, oh, okay, cool, that's the traitor, right? So, you know, at the very least, they did not know then, and so they wouldn't know here unless Shinpei tells them.
So,
Yeah.
right when they entered the place to attack, Shadow Shiori asks, are you connected with the traitor?
Oh yeah,
So that info's passed along now.
Sure. So they would know about a traitor. Yeah, but they wouldn't necessarily know what that means. Like,
I mean, it's pretty clear, I would say, what that means. They just don't know
a
that it's
shadow that's working against the other shadows. Yeah.
right. But it's also something where maybe that's why. Maybe that's why Shiori thinks like that, because there's wait, what are you?
Right, because she straight up asked if she was human. And like, even if there's some supernatural angle to the idea of like, her brother's ghost inhabiting her body or whatever, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would actually make her, like they said, be able to be faster than shadows and that kind of thing.
Right.
So, and I do like that that's something that's being brought up, in that there is some special sauce that Hizuru has, because, or Ryunosuke, if it's always Ryunosuke that does the fighting, maybe, because otherwise the shadows would get a lot less scary, because theoretically anybody could fight them. Oh, you just know about them. Oh, you take out their shadow. Cool. Right? Like that would get very straightforward.
It also is interesting as well. Because this is where it could get really funky. If you copied Hizuru / Ryunosuke,
Who would you get?
who would you get?
Well,
You'd get both, right? But maybe not, because that's why maybe they switch at specific times to compartmentalize two different types of information.
Sure. Well, but also if this is actually like the spirit of Ryunosuke somehow, right? Because
Right.
Nezu said it wasn't a split personality.
It's
thing.
not exactly a
personality.
split personality.
So if
no.
it was a split personality, then both would be copied probably. But if it's actually Ryunosuke in some
Right.
fashion, Ryunosuke already had a shadow made, so Ryunosuke would be immune. Hizuru wouldn't necessarily be immune. Now theoretically, that could be why they swap out, because then maybe Hizuru's kind of not there.
He's
You know,
kind of safe.
right? And then that's a way that they can actually like do this kind of stuff and not have to worry about it.
Sure.
Even though her body would still be there, so like even if she's hidden deep inside the body or the brain or whatever, she would still probably be there. So maybe that wouldn't be how it
wild.
would work. But
Okay. But yeah, 14 years ago, brother
yep,
died by shadows.
brother and family.
Well, yes, family, for sure. But there's a very clear part where they're showing the flashback that's Ryunosuke. Like that's
The one that was lying on the ground.
Yeah, Minikata. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that's lying on the ground. But if that's then, it might not have all been at the same time.
That like
Well, it might be a situation very similar to Shiori, where there was one changed into a shadow.
right, and then they killed the rest of the family.
Right. But the thing is that this is why I'm saying this, is that if Hizuru is crying over the body of Ryunosuke was never turned into a shadow then. You see what I'm saying?
Or at the very least, they were never popped, because you can turn someone into a shadow, but not get rid of the body, and that's why you can see your shadow, right? But then they get rid of the body.
But then why would they leave the body there? That doesn't make sense.
So the thing that comes to mind for me,
Yeah.
is that not why would they leave the body? It's how did Hizuru survive? I'm guessing because she killed the shadow, right?
Okay. So that's a way of looking at this there. But killing a person as a shadow is easy. You don't need to.
No, totally.
You don't need to have it be done in any way where.
No, you just want it to be sneaky.
You just want it to be sneaky, right?
No.
So that's.
No, right. But what I'm saying is, but what if Hizuru killed the shadow? And that's why the body's still there, because it happens, she manages to actually kill the shadow because she gets lucky or something, and that's where she discovers you hit the shadow and the shadow dies, right?
But that literally breaks down from the story that they shared in this episode of her finding the body chewed up and stuff, and people thinking it's dogs, and Hizuru's like, no, I think it's
murder.
that.
So
Yeah.
right, there was some chase that happened, and eventually maybe she took out the shadow.
No. Why do you assume that she had to have taken out the shadow?
Well, because she's still alive. Like,
but
unless
that's
it's
the
because
thing,
she
it's just-
it left the island and the shadow wasn't able to find her.
Just think about it as that the brother was killed when she wasn't there.
Sure. Yeah.
She finds the body at some point. And the brother is dead, being torn apart, basically, very, very viciously killed. Like it's the kind of thing where, it either was a struggle of some kind in that regard, or it's there's there's a little bit more, kind of maliciousness done with the killing. Like, it's not just as simple as, just...
Oh, sure. Yeah,
right. Because if a shadow is wanting to kill a person...
It's not hard.
It's really easy. It's literally not hard. So, from that standpoint, it doesn't make sense that the shadow, which had no trouble, shouldn't have any trouble killing them, then wouldn't dispose of the body to hide the evidence. So I think that there's something off about it, but I don't think it's that she killed the shadow as a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old or whatever, however old she was back then.
One of the other things we can pretty fairly assume, I would say, given that that her whole family also ended up getting killed, that would have been after Ryunosuke was killed, because if Ryunosuke was determined to not have been a murder, right, then there's no way you would think it wouldn't be a murder if the rest of the family had also been killed by that point, right?
That, that's my point.
Unless they had been turned into shadows or whatever, but then that'd be a whole much more complicated situation.
And that's my point, is that this was an isolated incident. It was done outside. It was done in an area that doesn't look like there's any. It was done. Every time they've shown it, it looks like there's kind of like a hike area. Like, it doesn't look like there's any immediate civilization there.
Is it possible that somebody killed the shadow that was attacking Ryunosuke, that killed Ryunosuke, and they sort of told Hizuru a bit about it, but she couldn't tell anybody because you have to keep the idea of shadows a secret or something?
Yeah, but that again gets into the Ryunosuke has some very, very specific things that are being hidden from them by Hizuru in order to keep that element there, or they're going to both be consistent in their lying despite having different information. So it's the kind of thing where it breaks down a lot, which means I think that there's something about the death that is something that we're not being told by Hizuru.
That I feel like that makes sense, especially considering that the most obvious solution to the what is Ryunosuke is that they're the ghost of Ryunosuke that is inhabiting her somehow.
But we have no world building to establish upon that.
Definitely.
So that's not. That's an assumption.
I know. But which is weird that is the most straightforward solution in my mind, because if we can trust Nezu that it is not a split personality, but there is a difference in memory. They refer to each other by their different names.
It essentially is a split personality, except for the world building part that we don't know about yet.
Right. It's a split personality, except that it was told to us by Nezu that no, it's not, but it's similar. Right.
Right.
So
it's the closest thing we have.
It's a shadow or a spirit or something like that. Right.
Because again, we still don't know what shadows are. That's again the part where I feel like this is very very finicky. Is that a shadow did not necessarily kill Ryunosuke. And I think this is where things get a little bit. This is where I think things get a little bit funky. Is that I think there's a possibility that this was a more internal thing, and thus the memories of the event and the actual things of what happened are a little bit fuzzy.
I mean, maybe the thing that popped into my head is like what if this fixes the issue? Is what if Hizuru did actually die? What if you, granted, the shadows only know about one traitor right now, and it's Ushio as far as we can tell.
Sure.
But what if the reason that she's, because we've seen her get wounded in the other iterations, and she was a person, she wasn't a shadow.
Yep.
Okay, never mind. Because I was going to say maybe she was killed, but then the shadow took on her personality so completely
So I don't think that we have a situation where Hizuru is being... Puppeted, no. Okay. I think it's more the situation that Hizuru has faulty memories with regards to this because of the not split personality.
Right.
So the event itself maybe initiated
this situation,
the split personality. But it's do you know specifically what happened exactly? Maybe you have maybe you have a version of things that you have accepted as this is what happened, but because they have abilities, because they have the ability to see things coming a little bit before they happen, that's not something that is easily explained just by possession or some kind of shadow connected thing, because shadows don't even necessarily have the ability to do that.
I think I might have figured out what the reason would be.
Okay.
For why the body was left there. The killing wasn't stopped, but it was interrupted.
So they run away?
Right. And the only reason that
why don't you just kill Hizuru?
Well, if it was enough of an interruption that it would have basically snowballed into something that would have been not able to be kept hidden, right?
Okay.
So if let's say she's with other people, now this is maybe too specific. Yeah. But other people are near enough by that the shadow doesn't think it can kill her too, right? And then suddenly it's I'll just leave the body here because that's the that's the best explanation. I don't want this girl to then talk about how there was this person that looked just like my brother, and then my brother's body disappeared, and like whatever. I don't know.
Okay, the reason why I like that, but also I don't think that's what it's going to be.
It feels too complicated.
It's too complicated, but the reason why I think that you're onto something a little bit more is that sometimes stories like this, you can kind of, especially if you think acausally, you realize that sometimes
the creator needs something to happen.
The creator needs something to happen so that you can kind of, exactly. If you go in reverse, there's an element of this death that might have spearheaded the entire life of Hizuru/Ryunosuke.
Sure.
So it's the wait.
Yeah, this is the
catalyzing event.
Tragic backstory TM,
Right. But if we assume time shenanigans is involved, and it's been involved in the story for a long time.
Sure.
This could have been one of those like really fucked up choices of a time traveler who's like not a shadow, or maybe is not going to, delete a body.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just...
Or maybe... Well, okay.
I think that there's some things here that we need to keep kind of... When something in the story like this feels like it's a bit off, it kind of crosses wires, that might literally be it, is that there's some things that were crossed, and that someone's trajectory came in with another trajectory here, and something crazy happened, and
so
now what do you know? Hizuru/Ryunosuke is a full, force within the narrative now.
Well, okay, so one thing that, with this whole idea of shadows and stuff, there was this whole bit that, Shiori being like, we're just like you, and it affecting Shinpei, and I didn't really care too much for that, because it's like, no, there's obvious ways in which you're different, because...
No.
But yeah, that aside, the worst thing that I could see happening in this kind of situation with shadows is that that shadows exist, you think they're everywhere, so you go to kill somebody that you think is a shadow, and they're not.
Right.
Because you don't know the thing of step on the shadow, and if it moves, then it's a shadow, right?
Or even if you do, your mind plays tricks. You're afraid.
Sure.
There's elements of where I think this is very important, especially with a time-related thing here. Your memory is not going to be reliable. That's why they take notes. That's why they record their voice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why, Shinpei's notebook is actually extremely helpful here, because you can have a bunch of things that you end up actually having pretty good memory of, but eventually you have to start dumping things.
Yes.
And like, even if we go for this has been, only a few days, this has only been a few iterations and stuff like that, that's going to start to be an issue for him. But even more so if we think about the fact that Hizuru/Ryunosuke, or Hizuru or Nagumo Minikata, they're going through this for at least a decade, it
was 14 years ago.
Their memories are probably super shoddy. That's why there's tons of recordings, at the very least, that they're kind of alternating back and forth with each other.
Which also, that's a wonderful explanation for, like, a simpler explanation than what we were thinking it was of, like, memories for different time iterations or whatever. No, it's just there's some kind of other aspect so that she's not having memory of 100% of the time that her body is awake, right? So yeah, you do that so that you know what's going on. Cool.
Yeah. Nice and simple.
Yep.
I did love the way that they presented that. There was a slight voice change. The voice actor or voice actress did a fantastic job with regards to presenting the personality and memory identity change. That was really awesome. I also loved the way in which Nezu just full on just gat on the nail gun. That was probably like one of the coolest things that they've done in the action sequences so far, is like, we use these regular things that you can find in a shed or something.
Yep.
And what do you know?
And one of the other things that I really appreciate about this is, given the mechanics of how the shadows work, there is actually a in-universe reason to have the thing of you're shooting at somebody as they're getting away, and oh no, the bullets are just tracing a trail behind them on the ground. Normally, that doesn't make any sense of why it's happening. It's just so that you can see impacted bullets.
Yeah.
But he's trying to hit the shadow, which is on the ground. So, like, it makes sense. Like,
it's a visually it's a visually pleasing element of storytelling to have the actual results of the characters' choices be seen on the actual art that's presented to us. But a lot of times what happens is characters will unload clips of, indeterminate amounts of bullets, and you're just like, well, I don't care about that because it's just the writer has decided that
this
the things
person
will
can't
miss and it won't work, but it's the how many bullets they have, it's irrelevant. But
are these guys trained soldiers that should know how to use their weapons? Yes, but no, they're shooting at the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
this is why they're missing. This is why Nezu is missing.
Right.
Because he's literally trying to hit something that is extremely hard and moving target, but also at that angle where, because he can't be directly above it, which is where all the advantage would come from the geometry of it.
Right.
It has more time to travel. And he,
and it might be harder for the nails to actually pierce the concrete.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
All of these different things, and it's just like, oh, this is so satisfying.
Very satisfying.
I love it.
Yeah.
But also, one of the other things that I adored from this episode is the Mio joke of the, oh, she's got the knife and she's like, welcome home, and he's like, oh God.
Yep.
And then it's just, oh, these onions. And it even has the blood because she's
been cutting her fingers accidentally. Yeah. And her tears are because she's cutting an onion, which is
right, exactly.
God, that's so funny. But I will say, I don't really see the negative of the trope of the we're just like you, because it's not that. It's the idea that that's why he jumped when he saw Mio.
Right.
He knows that she could turn into a shadow at any point.
Exactly.
But the fact that he didn't look around at the situation for a second or two, that's the kind of thing where if he was really scared and he had a weapon, he might make a really dumb decision just reflex panic.
He would be the worst person to try and kill the Mio shadow, other than he might have an excuse to be close to her. But,
no, totally. But my point is that kind of confusion would be very real, because it's the, hey, stay calm. They have the memories of the people, so unless you show that you have a reason for them to think that they know you're a shadow, you can get just right up next to them, step on the shadow, know immediately.
Yep.
You don't even have to panic there, because they don't think to themselves, oh, they stepped on my shadow, they must know who I am.
Also, that's the whole thing of the nails is another great way to give an explanation as for why the shadows don't want people to step on the shadows. Because
it'll pin them.
It's not that it'll kill them, because stepping on a person isn't going to kill them, but suddenly I can't move, right? Then I'm vulnerable, right?
Yeah, there's an element of the way that they are interacting with light in a way that is not so reflective, if that makes sense. So the idea of stepping on them is not the same as piercing the ground with it. But if you were to maybe put 2 feet on it,
or you stepped on like the neck part,
or and you stepped on a specific body part, then
Also, brain fart. What was I going to say? Something about the shadows. Yeah.
Well, on the sense that he got confused for a second there, I really think that that's something that needs to be taken with a little bit of like hey, this is why you need to really resolve in the same way that Nagumo/Minikata brings up later. Hey, shadows are not the people there. They have some of the memories from the point when that happened, but you can't be unresolved, basically, in this.
Which is great then, because the big example of the, oh, wait, but you can't be entirely 100%, all shadows must die, because, well, Ushio shows up and she legitimately is, like, friendly.
Right, but that's the part that's crazy about this. If Ushio is here, okay, so this goes into my crazy theories here. Ushio changed what she did in this iteration from the previous ones. Now, obviously, we can, go butterfly effect for sure with all these other things.
Yeah, but the show hasn't really been doing butterfly effect much.
Well, but that's the thing. Ushio might literally be the only one that's going to be primarily affected by it, because the reason why Ushio is here at all is mega sus. There's all kinds of
and you're
things.
not saying at the house, but like
at all alive
existing in the story
because,
and all that. Yeah.
because a shadow betraying them doesn't make sense to the shadows.
Right.
But also the idea that then Ushio is on the island, for one, hasn't been found by anybody yet.
And also doesn't even know that she's a
And
shadow.
doesn't even know that she's a shadow. Exactly.
Yep.
There's some things that happened in the future past. This is I constantly keep going back to this.
Wait.
That set it up in such a way that Ushio is either doing, because this is why you have to think acausally here. It's either that Ushio is being affected by this iteration's future, and thus what she does in the present is different, because it's not something that happened before this, it's something that happened ahead of this. And that's how they could potentially go into the, why is Ushio here? We didn't interact with Ushio before this. It's not a butterfly effect thing in that regard. It's that this is a new iteration, and where this iteration goes does something to the reason why Ushio is here at all.
Sure. Right, because there's if she's somehow getting information from the future that makes it so that then she has a different kind of butterfly effect situation going on, or if she's getting information in the shadows, which causes that to happen. As I don't know about that.
I don't even think it really holds up under full scrutinization.
Yeah, me neither. I think the shadow thing maybe, but But I had a thought as for maybe why this shadow doesn't know that she's a shadow. And I don't know if this would actually work, but I want to, talk about it and see what you think. Ushio was the previous person that had the time looping thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If this whole shift with the different iteration and the passing on of the thing happened basically around when she was killed or a shadow was made and all of that stuff, would it be possible that the shadow could copy Ushio's memories, but if Ushio is then losing the ability to do the time looping, she then
loses all the future memories.
The future memories, which then could make it so that the shadow, if it got caught in the iteration, but also the losing of the ability to iterate, right? Could it be something where then the shadow
believes it's
Ushio because it,
I think it's totally possible. I think the reason why Shadow Ushio believes that it's not a shadow is because Ushio regular convinced it that it was the shadow. Like that's I think the simplest explanation there. They teamed up basically. Although Ushio went for basically the I'm your shadow, and for the purpose of
she used the time looping stuff to mind game it.
To mind game it, yeah.
Although
and thus got her to doubt that. But then there's also the element of we don't know what shadows are, so there's a possibility that she also had the capacity to, fuck with the shadow in a more direct world building style of way.
One other thing that we did get confirmed in this episode, which is very important for this kind of shadow theorizing, is that the shadows do have some element of telepathic communication. Because she already did issue commands to her parents at the house, which makes it much weirder that Ushio would not know that she's a shadow, unless by being a traitor she somehow is severed from the mind hive mind.
Well, she didn't respond to the commands.
Right.
People and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there is some element of that there. But I also think that might have to do with who created Ushio's shadow.
Well,
but think about it. There's an element of where you have the Kyokagawa family, right? The mom immediately followed the instructions of Shiori's shadow once she got the telepathic thing there. Probably not just because, she's a shadow, but also it's the immediately. Like, no hesitation or no conversation, just come in, Obviously, they need to be synergized and working together and stuff like that. But the idea that there would be probably some imparting of the will, desire, memories of the shadows in addition to you're then a copy of the thing there, because the the shadows themselves are created out of the shadow of somebody,
right? And so
of some other shadow.
So maybe this is a way to an angle to theorize in and try and get some information. So, Shiori killed Ushio, but normally that would be done by the shadow of the person who's getting killed.
Sure.
We also know that Ushio saw her shadow before she was killed, right? The fact that then Shiori kills Ushio's shadow, I'm guessing, is to cover up for the fact that the shadow went rogue, and because Ushio's shadow is not going to kill Ushio, Shiori has to do it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Given that, I could see it being something where Shiori was actually the one that made Ushio's shadow as well. And it's or they're connected in some way along that kind of link, and that's why Shiori is the one to act. That's why she knows that, like, you know, oh, I need to do all of this stuff. Like, that's not a guarantee, you know?
Yeah,
but,
I don't think that's the case then.
Yeah.
Because I think then there would be the thing of, here's the telepathic, you know, order. Like, yeah.
Or maybe the reason that Ushio is able to be a traitor is because her higher up, her boss shadow, was killed, and then there's like the link's broken, and so there's no actual like commands coming into Ushio.
I feel like the theory surrounding Ushio being
like time mucked.
a helpful willing shadow have more to do with Ushio's decisions than the
than things that the shadows do.
Shadows do, because Ushio is able to pass on the ability.
That's true.
Ushio passing on the ability
is the biggest thing in the show.
Is the biggest thing in the show, but it's not just the fact that she did it. It's the fact that she was able and chose to. That means basically we win. Like, in a lot of ways, the story is over at the point that she passes it on. Right. Because she was able to go beyond this point.
What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it?
It's irrelevant. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, you know, before you get into debating, you know, paradoxes and all that, the thing that is, I would say, guaranteed by the story is that Ushio needed to die, probably.
Yes. And she probably realized that.
And solidify that timeline versus looping, because you can't kill a looping death time traveler. Like that's why I basically have the general issue earlier on.
It would have to be premeditated.
It would have to
allowing herself to die.
Right. Or and this is the crazy thing, there's an element of this that is kind of something that I would say emotionally just makes sense for a story like this. Ushio loves Shinpei, so the greatest act of love is to sacrifice yourself for them.
Okay.
If she basically realizes that the only way to stop the festival side of things is to pass it on to somebody else, either because the shadows are onto her, or there's some kind of thing that she's dealing with that's too big, she needs to set up a whole bunch of other things, or she knows too much herself to be able to handle this properly. You know, it's the kind of thing where you end up becoming your only enemy in that regard. You become too invested in certain things in the wrong way.
You need to start from zero.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So having the shadow be friendly means that whatever Ushio did won over the shadow. Yeah. Which feels like you would know yourself pretty well in that regard. And if she's been fighting the shadows with help or without help for a number of, you know, however much time, I think she could eventually just find out the way in which she could bring one over to her side. But then she'd have to fuck over their memories.
That is definitely a possibility, and that so there are two different ideas that I have of the way that something could be done that I think is important to be done, and that's one of them, is that if you're able to make a shadow be friendly with you, whatever Ushio did theoretically could be done again.
Sure.
And so for the sake of the narrative, you would want it to be something that is exceptional circumstances. Right? It's not something that's going to happen a lot, you know, because otherwise it would have happened a bunch, you know, like all of that kind of stuff. So I'm guessing is that it's either through time muckery stuff that Ushio couldn't have predicted in the giving away the power and all that stuff, and so it's a happy accident, or because she had the time ability, she was able to actually make it happen, and it never would have worked otherwise. Right.
Yeah, I think it's that one. I think it's that one. I feel like with the pacing of this story and the overall way in which they've set up a longer conflict, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That this this being Heine is one that was at the very least able to be somewhat understood or emotionally connected with, like, because this is the part where things get funky here, is the shadows have to have some kind of genesis or origination point,
Right.
A point where they incur, they have an incursion on the planet or something, a small meteorite lands.
Right, some life fibers came in on an asteroid.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Or, some, I do think there's some kind of ocean vibe with a lot of things there. It could be that, there's something that rises up from the bottoms of the ocean or something and crawls up onto the island or what have you. Or, maybe it's an old volcano that released some steam, stuff.
Maybe Heine fell underneath a tree, right? Like,
yeah. But just to kind of bring up the idea that there's an origination point, Heine doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Why
as
is
a mother for this? It feels like it's something where there was more of a human element that kind of mixed with that, and that's why I think the idea that Ushio's choices brought about Shadow Ushio to be not necessarily just helpful, but also not even aware that they're a shadow.
Right. Because the fact that Heine exists as, cute anime girl,
yes,
right,
not a
does not make sense.
Dark hand mass of a whole bunch of
exactly.
Yeah, based on the info that we have, Heine is more human than
the shadows, and she's the kingpin shadow. So what happens there?
Yeah, which means in some ways I don't think she is. I think she's the genesis point. That's why she's called Mother. Mother is symbolic for the way that we revere her as the first, But then it's so shadows are something probably born from humans.
Right, even if it was just
human and something else.
Even if it was just that Heine made some pact with the god that came from the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
And then all of this stuff came after that, Yeah.
But yeah.
Very fun stuff.
Yeah, all that to be said, we have a running theme and parallel kind of repeated point of the idea that where's the separation and the mix and the difference between the humans and their respective shadows. Ushio is a representation of that. What they're kind of exploring potentially with Hinekata and Nagumo, and then also Heine just looming in the background for whenever that gets addressed there. Because, again, this is something that's kind of fucky here. Fucking Nagumo mentioned Heine's name in the past thing.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. There's some shit here that is not being told to us.
Nope.
So, yeah. Who are you really? Who are you really? I think that's the big question here.
Yep.
Why and who?
Yeah.
But really great setup here.
I am loving how much progress we feel like we're making.
It feels like we're making a lot, right?
Like that is really I can't say how wonderful that feels because that usually feels like the big problem that you have to work around with time loop kind of shows.
With time loop kind of stories, you end up feeling at times that you're spinning in circles, and thus the story goes introspective because the character has to
deal with that,
deconstruct and deal with that.
Yeah, Groundhog's Day, ReZero, all that kind of
stuff. And the way that it mentally breaks them. And so far, we're not going that route yet. So
and I love it.
I kind of love it too. So it'll probably happen eventually, but for now, pretty good way things are moving.
And now Ushio's here, and you can't exactly keep her existence a secret because this is at home. Like, unless you stuff her in your closet, like, Mio's gonna see her, parents are gonna see her. Like,
well, Alan's not here at the moment. That's the thing. I'd like.
Oh, right,
and
I think there's no mom. It's she died or left.
She died.
Yeah,
she died in childbirth. But the thing that Alan was dealing with shadow of his being killed. He's not here yet because they arrived earlier, probably to help set up everything to kill Shadow, Mio. It might be actually possible that they just talk, the three of them, and they're like, okay, this is what's going on. And then Mio is brought up to speed with everything. And, we just keep her from screaming, because...
Well, and also, I forget, was it the previous night, or would it be this night where Mio's shadow shows up outside the house? And
Mio's shadow shows up tonight.
Oh, it's tonight. Okay,
tonight,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's perfect. Yeah, so they'll be lying in wait. They'll just snipe the shadow or whatever, with nail guns or however they want to do it, and that'll be that. Yeah.
I also really love the idea that it's what? No, it can't just have a gunshot go off at night. It's not America. And then she's gonna say that, but she's not gonna say that because Tetsu's not gonna be here either. So then it's the. Yeah, it's nice and quiet, isn't it? It's not exactly going to be as loud as
an actual gun.
Also,
and
she's gonna be like, "Fuck you! How do you know about this shit?"
I love the idea that Alan, while all of this stuff is going on, right? Because they won't necessarily tell Alan. They might, but young adult story. Parents don't have to be a part of it. He's just gonna see all of these traveling sledgehammer impacts, and he's gonna be like, "Where the fuck are these coming from?"
maybe, but yeah, God, it's such a good episode, and now we can kind of just move forward from here, and play this route out until its end, because it's going
real well so far. Yeah,
but yeah, we know it's still kind of fucked because we have no idea what the big shadow is at the festival,
right?
And that's going to be its own.
And this is kind of the end of your helpful info. Right, because the info that Shinpei has from previous stuff,
it's because he's iterated over it quite a few times,
right? And dealt with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're heading into the bad ends territory where he's only been down that route, once.
The one time. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out my Persona 5 Royal Let's Play on Twitch. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.